Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Sakshi Sodi, and I am the Senior Technical Assistance Advisor at Opportunity International EduFinance. We are a leading technical assistance advisor to financial institutions across Asia, Africa, and Latin America in education sector. We help financial institutions develop, grow, and sustain their education loan portfolio. This session is a part of virtual discussions with thought leaders from India's education sector to discuss the changing ecosystem for low-cost private schools. The series builds on our recent market research reports with KPMG on the changing needs of LCPS segment in India. And this is the third and the last one in this series. To set the context for today's webinar, it's about technology as a key lever of change for the low-cost private schools. India is one of the largest markets for LCPS in the world. Today, these schools are accessing multiple digital solutions in the market to access and manage their finances, content creation, and delivery of education, conduct assessments to evaluate learning outcomes of the students, professional development training solutions for school leaders, and the list goes on. Our panelists will discuss how the needs of LCPS in India have changed given the increased reliance on technology due to COVID-19, and the emerging technologies in education finance, and the strategies the technology companies are adopting to ensure that the solutions actually reach the last mile, bridging the digital literacy gap. Few ground rules for the webinar today. To communicate with me and our panelists, please use the Q&A box at the bottom. In case you have any technical issues, please give me a signal in the chat box. My colleague Hadika will help you troubleshoot. This is going to be a bilingual webinar where our panelists will be speaking in Hindi and English. For the audience who are joining us from outside of India, we'll be recording this webinar and uploading it with subtitles. Please follow us on social media to access them. We also have an open chat feature enabled. So if you have any comments, type in here to chat with other online attendees. Moving on to introducing the three panelists for today's webinar. As I speak your name, please raise your hand or wave so that we know who you are. Our first panelist is Mr. Shiv Vadivel Alagan. He's the co-founder and CEO of Anthem, formerly known as FinviGo. They're the fastest growing education SaaS startup in India. Welcome to the panel, Shiv. Our second panelist is Mr. Ritesh Agarwal, who is representing Educational Initiatives, which is an edtech company that leverages its research and technology-based solutions to revolutionize how children in K-12 space learn. Welcome to our panel, Ritesh. Our third panelist is Mr. Kulbhushan Sharma, who is representing NISA, National Independent School Alliance, that's providing a unified voice to the LCPS. They are striving for a systematic change with a focus on improving the quality of education. We have a diverse group of audience today who registered for the webinar. These are financial institutions, fintechs, edtechs, and school leaders. Now, without any further ado, we'll turn the time over to the panel discussion. Shiv, I'll start with you. What does Anthem do, Shiv? How is Anthem leveraging technology as a solution for schools to manage their finances?
Sure. Thanks, Sakshi, for this opportunity to be part of this webinar. Really excited to join with other panelists, and also very excited to have this conversation with the participants as well. To answer your question, what Anthem, as you were introducing us, Anthem is a SaaS startup. We work in the intersection of technology and education. We provide SaaS tools for complete digitization and automation of educational institutions. And within that, the segment of educational institutions, we focus primarily on small and medium-sized educational institutions. That's been our focus right from the beginning, because the larger educational institutions are already well served and well taken care by the legacy software companies, also known as the ERP companies. But I think in that process, the small to medium-sized educational institutions are pretty much left to manage their day-to-day operations using Excel sheets, or sometimes even registers, pen and paper, right? So that has led to a lot of inefficiencies and slow processes. So that's what we try and help these educational institutions for complete digitization and automation. And particularly with COVID in the backdrop, I think the importance of technology has been amplified. So we have created a tech stack, which is a complete digitization and automation tech stack for these educational institutions to automate their core functions. Right. So we help them manage their income, we help them manage their expenses. We also help them increase their admissions by helping them automate their admissions and enrollment. We also help them with complete communication, starting with online classes, attendance, sharing information, and communication with students and parents, and receiving communication back from the students and parents, so on and so forth. So it's a complete digitization and automation stack for education institutions. So we currently work with about 25,000 plus education institutions across the country. We are present in every single state in the country. And we also work with a very diverse set of educational institutions. We work with schools, we work with higher education institutions. We also work with extracurricular, co-curricular, upskilling and skilling institutes as well. So that's what Anthem is.
Thank you, Shiv. Ritesh, my next question is actually for you. What do you do at Educational Initiatives? What are the technology solutions that EI is offering? And what is your key focus area?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sakshi, for this opportunity to be part of the Opportunity family and also to speak about the work which AI does. Really happy to be part of this panel with Dr. Sharma and Shiv, both of them who are doing really amazing work. So just to give you a context of what AI has been doing in EdTech, so we've been working for the past 20 years with this vision statement of, how do you create a world where every child is learning with understanding? And it's a group of education-focused folks who use technology for leverage. And by that I mean is that our ultimate mission is how do you improve learning outcomes in classrooms? And the second point is how do you do it for every child, which is whether the child is going to an international school, whether the child is going to a high-fee school, whether the child is going to a government school. And that has been the kind of work we've been doing for the past 20 years. The two things we've been doing is assessment research. One is how do you use assessment as a tool for one, getting feedback on what the child has learned, what the child knows, and then using it for diagnostics, helping teachers and schools make informed decisions for remediation. And that is something we've been doing. And with technology, we are leveraging it for delivering it to children directly at their home on digital devices, and helping really teachers get that feedback on a very real-time basis. And second, post doing a lot of this X-ray kind of work, we also were working for the past 10 years, have been working on something called MindSpark, which is a personalized adaptive learning solution, which is a solution that helps creating remedial paths, helps in teaching child at their own levels across the subjects of math and language. And this is something which is been evaluated by JPAL, worked across different kind of contexts. And at the foundation of all the work is something what we call as the science of learning. So something like what we see in the field of medicine, where over the past 100 years we've seen significant advancement, which has led to improvement in lives. That has been because of a lot of diagnostic care as well as a lot of advancements in the field of medicine. Similarly, today we are saying that there is something called the science of learning. That is that we want to know what will it take for a child to learn fractions, what will it take for the child to learn Sanyukta Akshar, and that is something which can be discerned with the help of both data at the same time with the help of pedagogical research. And that's been the entire focus of our work. So very different edtech to the kind of one which Shiv was talking about, but at the same time very, very focused on the education and the pedagogy part of things.
Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you so much. Kulbhushan sir, there are several edtechs and fintechs company in India that are actually disrupting the education status quo, either with their new technology or through new and unique solutions, tech-enabled solutions and services that they're providing. So you have access to over 1 lakh schools in India. since you have the first hand unbiased information from the schools, what is the penetration of technology in the rural areas where there is such low connectivity of internet?
साक्षी जी, जैसे आपने कहा कि 1 लाख से ज्यादा स्कूल्स हमके साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, और हमने जो इस कोविड के दौरान टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनीज ने बहुत इंडिया में काम किया, लेकिन स्कूल्स ने क्या उसमें सफर किया, ये जो हमने महसूस किया कि एक डिजिटल डिवाइड बहुत था रूरल अर्बन में। जबकि डिजिटली अगर आप देखें तो मुझे मेट्रो सिटीज में भी एक उसमें भी डिवाइड दिखा कई जगह पर, क्योंकि टावर्स नहीं थे। अब मैंने बहुत अच्छी अच्छी जगह पर भी डिजिटली जो है ये डिफरेंस देखा कि डिजिटाइजेशन उतनी प्रॉपर नहीं थी, इंटरनेट की कनेक्टिविटी बड़े शहर में भी नहीं। लेकिन जब हम रूरल एरिया में जाते हैं, जैसे मैं खुद एक बजट स्कूल चलाता हूँ, एक रूरल एरिया में चलाता हूँ, रूरल एरिया में ही रहता हूँ, और वो भी रूरल एरिया का भी आप एक अच्छा पार्ट उसको कह सकते हैं। लेकिन वहां पर भी जो है बीएसएनएल के अलावा दूसरा इंटरनेट की कनेक्टिविटीज नहीं है। तो अगर हम और रूरल एरिया में जाते हैं तो एक बहुत बड़ा डिजिटल डिवाइड था, जिसको जो है लोगों ने, जिसकी वजह से एजुकेशन ने बहुत सफर किया, एजुकेशन कंपनीज होने के बावजूद। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा जो है हुआ, जिससे जो रूरल एरियाज के स्टूडेंट्स थे उनका लर्निंग पे बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्ट पड़ा, वो कनेक्ट नहीं रह पाए। ये बेसिक जो है ये प्रॉब्लम रही। जैसे मैंने शहर्स की भी आपको बताई, तो हमारे जो ऑफिसेज हैं, दिल्ली में ऑफिस है, वो बहुत अच्छी जगह पे है, तो वहां पर हौज खास में भी हमें इस तरह की प्रॉब्लम देखने को कई बार मिली, ग्रीन पार्क में भी मिली। और फिर मैंने अपने जैसे घर में बताया कि जहां से, क्योंकि टीचर्स ने ज्यादातर घर से काम किया, तो स्कूल्स के अंदर भी थोड़ा सा कनेक्टिविटी बेटर थी, लेकिन जो घरों में जाकर और कनेक्टिविटी की जो प्रॉब्लम रही, और गांव में ये मतलब एरिया वाइज ये डिजिटल डिवाइड जो है ये बढ़ता गया, जिससे जो है ये हमें सफर होना पड़ा एजुकेशन।
Sir, I have a follow-up question for you. You rightly highlighted about the digital divide that occurs in rural areas, also in urban areas, also connectivity in schools is still better, but the students who are ultimately accessing online classes through various platforms, they have suffered the most. So these are harsh realities. But during COVID-19, when the entire dependency of the student was on online medium, how have students and the schools coped up with limited access to digital resources? अगर आपके पास कुछ statistics है जो आप शेयर कर सकते हैं, या interesting trend है that you've seen that students, what percentage of students or schools were able to do online classes, if you can share that.
देखिए, इस पे जो हमने अपना नीसा ने खुद भी एक रिसर्च किया, बहुत सारी एजेंसीज ने रिसर्च की, इंटरनेशनल और नेशनल एजेंसीज ने की, तो हमें महसूस हुआ हमें खुद जो है एक रिसर्च करके डाटा पब्लिक के सामने लाना चाहिए कि रियल में क्या प्रॉब्लम्स थी, क्योंकि हम तो इस प्रॉब्लम्स को जान रहे थे, लेकिन आपकी टेक कंपनीज, फाइनेंस कंपनीज, गवर्नमेंट, हर व्यक्ति उसको जान सके। तो हमने खुद भी इसके ऊपर एक रिसर्च किया, तो हमें रिसर्च में ये मिला कि 83.9% जो है उन्होंने इंटरेक्टिव प्लेटफॉर्म्स को इस्तेमाल किया, जूम को, गूगल मीट को, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट को, इनको इस्तेमाल करके डिजिटल इसके डिवाइस के थ्रू जो है लर्निंग करने की कोशिश स्कूल्स ने की। 4% जो स्कूल्स हैं वो लो कनेक्टिविटी जो है उन्होंने 4% वहां पर लो कनेक्टिविटी जो है वो लोगों ने फेस की, कि उसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम्स आई। और कुछ लोगों ने, जैसे गवर्नमेंट्स ने जो है दूरदर्शन के थ्रू, सैटेलाइट चैनल्स के थ्रू भी काम करने का, यूट्यूब के थ्रू भी काम करने की जो है कोशिश की, और 12% के करीब तो स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे रहे कि जो किसी भी प्रकार से कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाए। इस तरह की भी सिचुएशन हमारी रिसर्च से भी निकल के आई, देखने को मिली।
These statistics are still giving some peace that there were students who were able to access, online classes. 83.9% students, if they were able to access interactive platforms, then this is incredible. As an it's far better than the statistics which are coming from the other countries for the students who are able to access interactive platforms for learning. But UNICEF has recently released a report which is very alarming, where they're saying that only 8.5% students in India have access to internet. Another report by Education Ministry stated that 2.9 crore students in India don't have access to digital devices for online education. And the largest portion of these numbers are actually coming from Bihar, where only Bihar is contributing to 1.4 crore students. So these statistics are harsh, but they're realities. Moving on, Kulbhushan sir, recently ASER report has also been released in India, which said that more than quantitative loss, there has been a qualitative loss for the students in India, because you're aware that students have migrated from private schools to government schools, but they have not completely dropped out as people were forecasting a year ago. So what kind of learning loss have students experienced, especially in the rural India, and how can technology be leveraged to bridge those learning gaps is what we would like to hear from you.
साक्षी जी, जो आपने कहा कि क्वांटिटेटिव है क्वालिटेटिव लॉस, बहुत सारे, जो कल ही मैं एक टीवी में इंटरव्यू दे रहा था तो मुझसे ये क्वेश्चन पूछा मीडिया ने कि भी एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर्स ये कह रहे हैं हर जगह के कि गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में एडमिशन्स बढ़े हैं। तो मैंने वहां पर भी ये जवाब दिया कि ये वक्त एडमिशन्स की बात करने का नहीं है कि कहाँ एडमिशन बढ़े हैं और कहाँ घटे हैं। ये तो एक डेटा और उसका खेल है कि बच्चे इधर चले गए या बच्चे उधर चले गए का ये समय है। जैसे आज यूनिवर्सली भी हम बात कर रहे हैं सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल, क्वालिटी एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, डिजिटल एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, तो मैंने कहा समय ये है कि उन बच्चों को एजुकेशन में क्या लॉस हुआ है या उन्होंने गेन किया है, ये समय हमारा बात करने का है। तो बच्चे अगर गवर्नमेंट स्कूल जा रहे हैं या प्राइवेट स्कूल जा रहे हैं, ये इशू है ही नहीं। तो जो सबसे बड़ा, बहुत सारे बच्चे ऐसा भी नहीं है कि ये डेटा, अभी मैं आपको सही बताऊं कि सही इस पे रिसर्च करने की जरूरत है। हो सकता है ड्रॉप आउट जो डेटा दिखाए जा रहे हैं ना, ये भी गलत हो, ड्यूल एडमिशंस भी हो सकती हैं। डेटा में दिखाया जा रहा है तो ये इंडिया में हमेशा देखने को मिला है कि ड्यूल एडमिशन, जैसे कैग ने जब रिपोर्ट दी तो यूपी से ये निकल के आया था कि 1,11,00,000 बच्चे फेक एडमिशन है गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स के अंदर। हरियाणा में जब आधार से लिंक किया गया गवर्नमेंट स्कूल और प्राइवेट स्कूल्स को, तो ये देखने में मिला कि 4.5 लाख बच्चे फेक एडमिशन स्कूल में। तो अभी भी ये वाला डाटा जो है उल्टा सीधा हो सकता है, तो इस पर ना जाकर हमें जो है मेन कंसंट्रेट ये करना चाहिए। मैंने हमेशा कहा कि लर्निंग लॉस क्या हुआ, क्या बच्चों का लर्निंग लॉस हुआ। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी भी बात जो है आज कर रही है कि प्री प्राइमरी से भी उन्होंने बात करनी शुरू की। हम डिजिटल इंडिया की भी बात कर रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी की भी बात कर रहे हैं, तो वहां पर जो है हमें बात करने की जरूरत है कि कहाँ पर लॉस हुआ या नहीं। ये क्वांटिटेटिव और क्वालिटेटिव, उस पर हमें मेरे ख्याल से बहुत ज्यादा नहीं जाना चाहिए। बच्चों की एनरोलमेंट 2-4-5% अगर इधर की उधर हो गई उसमें नहीं जाना चाहिए। मेन इशू है कि भी हमें कैसे बच्चों को जो है एजुकेशन के साथ उनका जो है लॉस ना हो। तो ये लॉस हमारी रिसर्च पे भी देखने को मिला कि जो 5th क्लास का स्टूडेंट है, हमने उसको 4th क्लास का जो है पेपर उसके लिए तैयार किया, क्वेश्चन पेपर, तो वो 4th के भी पेपर में एक पायदान और नीचे मिला। और जो सबसे ज्यादा लॉस हमें देखने में आ रहा है वो जैसे प्लेवे स्कूल आज बंद है, आज 5+ 3+ जो पैटर्न है वो चेंज हो गया। पहले जो है फर्स्ट ऑनवर्ड जो है स्कूल चलते थे, अब फर्स्ट के भी प्री स्कूल, अर्ली चाइल्डहुड की भी बात की जा रही है, वो सेक्शन बिल्कुल ही बंद मिला। तो जो आने वाला समय है ये बहुत चैलेंजिंग होने वाला है सभी के लिए। जो टेक्नोलॉजी भी बड़ी फास्टली इस दौरान बढ़ी, लोगों में अडॉप्शन भी बढ़ी और आगे टेक्नोलॉजी के और बढ़ने की उम्मीद भी दिख रही है। तो जो इस समय जो नुकसान हो रहा है ये लर्निंग लॉस हमारी रिपोर्ट से भी निकल के आया कि बहुत बड़ा एक लर्निंग गैप जो है पड़ गया, जिसको बहुत ही गहराई से इसको सोचने का, डेप्थ से सोचकर कैसे इसको कवर किया जाए। अदरवाइज जैसे आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनीज भी काम कर रही हैं, तो टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी भी जो अपने डिजाइन करेगी कंटेंट, वो तो क्लास के हिसाब से ही करेगी। तो ये लर्निंग लॉस को जांचना, जानना और उसके अकॉर्डिंग काम करना, ये एक बहुत जरूरी बात जो है नजर आ रही है। तो ये क्वालिटेटिव और क्वांटिटेटिव पे ना जाकर मेरा तो ये मानना है, बहुत सारे बच्चों में लैंग्वेज डिवाइड भी हुआ। ये बहुत सारी चीजें जो हैं हमारी रिसर्च में भी देखने को मिली हैं, क्योंकि बच्चा जब स्कूल आता था तो थोड़ी इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज को समझता था, और गांव का बच्चा था उसमें डिजिटल ये लैंग्वेज डिवाइड बड़ा है। और जो शहर का बच्चा था, अर्बन उसका बच्चा था, उसके घर का एटमॉस्फेयर फिर कहीं बेटर है। तो स्कूल के एटमॉस्फेयर से जो बच्चे में चेंज आ रहा था, वो भी एक डिवाइड जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा बड़ा है, गैप उसका और बड़ा।
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sharma sir, because this was very, very insightful for our audience who are joining us from outside of India. I'll quickly summarize the key points which Mr. Sharma has highlighted here. His main focus still stays on the fact that it doesn't matter whether the students have moved from government school to private schools from to government schools. Ultimately, all of these schools where students are enrolled should focus on adopting technology so that the learning cannot suffer and the learning outcomes, the slope keeps moving upwards. He has also emphasized that the learning loss has been seen majorly at the elementary levels, where the students have not been even able to get and have entered into the school. So that's where the maximum loss is seen. In terms of understanding at what levels the students have actually been able to understand the concepts, even a fifth grade student is not able to solve the concepts of a fourth grade. So obviously there is a gap which is seen amongst the schools also on understanding level of the students. Very key point which Mr. Sharma has highlighted is that the content which the companies, EdTech companies are designing for the school students should not be designed as per the grades, but it should be created based on the current understanding levels of the concept of the student. So one, there should be parameters to analyze what are the existing what is the existing level of understanding of the student, and based on that those courses should be offered to them. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. Ritesh, my next question is actually for you, that how are you leveraging technology to capture and to address this learning loss caused due to prolonged school closures?
Yeah, thank you, Sakshi. Thank you. I think, double clicking first on Dr. Sharma's point. I think the whole debate like we had in the earlier decade, that should we have schools, should there be access, was the huge problem, and where we were thinking about and singing all the songs of School Chale Hum, building schools, getting enrollment. And I think that's the nature of the debate which we're again facing in the whole technology spectrum. And I think उसमें तो कोई दो राय है ही नहीं कि whether every child in India should have a right to technology or not. And I think now I think with this whole COVID and a prolonged closure, I think one of the important things for all of us to understand and again go deeper into it कि ठीक है technology लगा देंगे, लेकिन technology से होगा क्या? And over the past 1.5 years, and through my interactions with schools, and Dr. Sharma and Shiv can also elaborate, there has been a lot of challenges. In some ways, it was an opportunity for technology to be the silver bullet it promises to be. But at the same time, it has also given a lot of pain and grief to a lot of teachers as well. And this was something which we also realized while doing it over the past 1.5 years, right? So just to give you a sense of how are we leveraging technology from an EI context. So one, we are saying that technology comes in the word education, technology second. First comes education, right? And how do we do that? And again, something which Sakshi, you were double clicking on, is that we use technology ultimately to provide children with learning content, which can be in the form of questions, or it can be in the form of videos or anything of that sort, but at appropriate level of the child. So that's the first principle, that the child is able to get content which is appropriate to the level of the child. Second is, technology can do certain things better than a human being, whether in a classroom setting or whether at a home setting, which is technology can do better diagnosis. So today हम जब घर पे बीमार होते हैं तो the mother keeps a hand on top of the head to check कि temperature कितना हुआ है, but we still use a thermometer to get an accurate thing. That's technology, right? So the second thing which technology can really do well is do very good diagnosis as compared to what a human can do. And sometimes that's extremely helpful to know कि बच्चे कहाँ पर हैं, क्या जानते हैं, और उसके लिए क्या क्या हम कर सकते हैं ताकि बच्चा सीख पाए. So that's the second thing how we leverage technology, that is from a diagnosis perspective. Third is from a feedback basis. So for a teacher it's humanly impossible to give feedback to every child every time. And technology can be leveraged in that format. So what we do through Mindspark, which is a personalized adaptive learning platform, we do all these three things. One, it does diagnosis कि बच्चे का learning level कितना है. तो बच्चा grade 5 में हो सकता है लेकिन learning level 1 और 2 में भी होते हैं बच्चे. Second, it gives a accurate diagnosis that across the level there are multiple topics or cognitive domains which a child needs to know. तो बच्चे को आज कितना पता है, व्हाट्स द करंट नॉलेज स्टेट एंड व्हाट आर द गैप्स दैट एग्जिस्ट. सो किसी बच्चे को डेसिमल पता है, किसी बच्चे को डेसिमल नहीं पता क्योंकि नंबर सेंस नहीं पता. ऑल ऑफ दैट डायग्नोसिस कैन बी डन वेरी accurately and fast in a faster way through technology. And third is, on the basis of all this data, technology can help in delivering content. Now this is all what technology can do. It is not replacing the teacher, but what it's being is it's becoming an assistant to the teacher, ultimately to use all of this to provide a wholesome experience to the child. So this is what we've been doing for the past 10 odd years with Mindspark in school setups. For the past 2 years, we've been forced to go into the homes of children because schools were shut down. And isme now we were supporting parents to play a certain pedagogic role, not a fully fledged role like a teacher, in using Mindspark. And that has had our own learnings, our own failures and our own victories. But again, access was the biggest problem, like Dr. Sharma was sharing. But we've also seen some really magical things happening on the ground. We've seen neighbors coming together and forming community labs. We've seen children collaborating with each other. We've seen a lot of that happening. But like Dr. Sharma said, access is a huge problem, even in government schools and affordable private schools. And what we are seeing from our data, from the top private schools, comparing it to the affordable private schools and the government schools, that the learning loss for the government schools and affordable private schools will be bigger. And which is why it needs an urgent attention. तो जो बच्चा पिछली बार जो प्राइवेट स्कूल में जा रहा था, घर पे 2 कंप्यूटर है, पेरेंट्स हैव मनी, there is a lot of support being provided by work at home parents, that has given a lot more extra mileage to kids from good private schools. Whereas in the affordable private schools and government schools, we're seeing that to have an impact, which is why I think the focus should be ki how do we rebuild better rather than think about कि बच्चे कहाँ जा रहे हैं या फिर in terms of let's just give tablets to everybody, but rather think कि ठीक है, how do we mitigate this learning loss that has been caused, and whether that's man or whether that's machine, we'll need a combination of both to be able to do that.
Absolutely, Ritesh. And that brings me to a follow-up question, that when you reach out to the schools to make them understand about the products that you offer to them, are schools prepared for digitization? And what are the challenges that you face in helping schools digitize learning?
Yeah. So Sakshi, this has changed tremendously over the past 7 years. The first time actually when I was in rural areas in Rajasthan, I've taken tablets and the teachers have told me कि इसको हाथ लगाने से तो current मारेगा. So that phase is gone now. A phase of very, very fearful that it's so novel. And Dr. Sharma and others can also share that there were times when people in government schools specifically, they used to lock up all the computers that used to be there. Everybody was scared to even touch it, saying कि इसको हाथ लगाएंगे खराब हो जाएगा, कौन इसको ठीक करने वाला. So now we have way past that. Given both the WhatsApp and the Facebook revolution, I think COVID has just accelerated that. So one, there has been an acceptance to technology. However, there are 3 things which are coming at fore, especially with schools now. One, they're saying that don't drop technology and go away. It can never work like that. We need training in terms of process, that how will it get integrated within our school systems, within our own ways of life. And second is in terms of capacity building on how to use the technology. So like, Shiv's, technology solution might offer certain insights for the school principal. Similarly, a learning solution will offer insights for the teachers. But what will the teacher do with it? And that time that might mean pedagogy training, that might mean teacher training of a certain level on a certain subject. So that's the second thing. And third is change management. We all will need to acknowledge that there is a disruption happening inside the school, and that disruption is not easy. And with that disruption, lives of teachers and administrators are changing. And that needs a certain amount of change management built into it, which I don't think is easy. So, when we hear on Economist and other places that artificial intelligence is taking away our jobs, these fears are also very true for the teachers. I've gone to a school where a teacher said कि क्या ये कंप्यूटर मेरा कोई काम नहीं है इसमें, अगर आप ही मार्किंग करोगे तो मेरे को क्यों बुला रहे हो? And there have been, these conversations have been taking place. So one, we need to understand both the baseline of the teachers who are coming in the system to teach, because one, teaching is not aspirational. So you don't get the best of the talent available in the market who are becoming teachers. Second, now you are telling them that I will give you technology and this technology will do all the work. And so there is this dissonance which is created. So there is amount of change management, and technology needs to be easy. It can't be that technology is complicated for the end user. We need to keep in mind that they are subject matter experts, not technology experts on the ground. So my sort of urge, both burning my hands in fire, is that one, a strong support system for any technology provider is very, very important, which is both in terms of training and at the same time in terms of the kind of support. So unlike, and Shiv can also share some of his thoughts. Like unlike in the traditional SaaS play we've been observing, there is a strong high-touch support model which is required for schools. I think a school being part of the journey for 5 years, that thing changes, but initially it's very high-touch. The way we are doing it is through a gradual release of responsibility model, or like a model which we say that पहले हम करेंगे, हम करके आपको दिखाते हैं, फिर हम साथ में करते हैं, फिर आप करो. So it's almost like a I do, we do, and a you do model. And that we've seen is a better way to sort of integrate technology than to just drop it, give them 5 times a person visit in a year. Now you figure it out on your own. It does not work. That's been our observation.
Hand-holding is a must. I can't agree with you more. Schools, even if they want to adopt technology, they need capacity building, training for the teachers, and only then they can implement it and use it for the students, even for managing their own school finances. Shiv, has technology changed the business dynamics for you in terms of acceptance of technology by the schools?
Yeah, definitely, Sakshi. Thanks for this question. So, great insights by Dr. Sharma as well as from Ritesh. I think Ritesh made a very important point that, technology cannot be complex, right? Like, particularly we are talking about, the small to medium-sized education institutions. Most of them are located in tier 2, tier 3 markets, so for them, like, it has to be easy. It cannot be complex, right? In fact, that is one of the main pain points that we also try to solve at Anthem, right? So I think in terms, if you talk about the evolution of technology products, right? I think today, if you look at the technology products, the B2C technology products that are available in the market, whether you take WhatsApp or TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, great UI UX is no longer a luxury. It has become table stakes. Right, like, and we're talking about, like, whether it is the teacher or whether it is the parent or students, they are exposed to technology products that have great UI UX, right? Like, so I think the expectation from a technology product, particularly from a user interface and a user experience point of view, has gone up. The benchmark has really gone up, right? So today you cannot give a complex or a crappy UI UX technology product to the users and expect them to adopt it and use it, right? So I think at Anthem, like, for us, like, great UI UX and great product building is table stakes, right? Like, we live and breathe that particular point. And in fact, like, as Ritesh rightly pointed out, right, like, you need to, like, really make the product available and user friendly for the users. Otherwise, it's not going to be adopted at all. right? So for us, like, and also like, it's not just the UI UX, it's also about how you build the entire product, right? Like the entire product structure, right? The spectrum of products that you're going to offer. In fact, one thing that we have done very, very differently from what the other legacy software companies, the ERP companies have done, is that, we don't bombard the users with like, 10, 20 modules, which is very, very common. If you get a technology ERP product in the market, like, they're going to start with like a visitor management to transportation management to library management. One, it makes it very, very complex, and two, it also makes the product very expensive. We're talking about affordable private school, we're talking about small to mid-sized educational institutions. Most of them don't have library, right? Like, why do you expect me to learn how a library management system works? Or why do you expect me to pay for a library management system when I don't even have a library in my school, right? So we kind of, boiled it down to the most fundamental functions that or use cases of any educational institution. That's also the reason why we have been able to work with schools, colleges, and institutes alike, right? So for us, like, we only talk about 4 core functions. One is fee management. Whether you're a school or a dance class or a music class or a engineering college or a polytechnic institute, you have to collect fees, you have to manage fees. The second thing is staff attendance and payroll and expense management. Again, this is very, very fundamental to all types of education institution. The third thing is admissions, right? If you're running an education institution, you're always worried about admission, right? It could be your next batch admission or it could be a next academic year admission, but you're worried about your admission. So we help you automate that also. The last bit is communication, right? Whether it is like your small tuition center or a large college, you are communicating with students, you are communicating with the parents, right? So there is a lot of communication that happens. The communication could be pedagogical communication, or it could be sharing an institute-wide announcement, like, coming Saturday is off, this is when the sports day is happening. So that's how basic we have broken down these use cases, right? So we give them only 4 modules, right? So we keep the use cases very, very simple, very, very basic, and we focus on great UI UX, right? So and this was extremely important for us, right? Because like, our technology stack is the cheapest in the market, right? We charge 14,000 rupees a year for all the 4 modules, right? So if you look at it in dollar terms, that is like $200 a year, right? $15 a month, like 1,200 rupees per month is what we are charging these educational institutions. So, and also the reason why cost becomes very important is that, technology has to be affordable, right? Because technology also comes with a lot of cost, right? So we are talking about this, low cost institutions who don't have huge budgets for technology. And the cost should not be prohibitive. Like, Dr. Sharma very eloquently put, right? Like, finance is most important, right? Like, you cannot, like, the institution cannot exist without, and money is very important, right? I think that's what he tried to say. So, we wanted, the technology to be user friendly, and it should also be pocket friendly, right? So, and if you want to make it pocket friendly, then we have to make it and build it in such a way that people should be able to adopt it and start using it, right? And also, like, keep it very, very basic and simple, right? That's the thesis around like why we focus on only 4 modules, and then like, great UI UX, and then like, the cheapest solution available in the market. So this has really helped us a lot. In fact, like, we scaled like 10x over the last 10 months or so. 10 months back, we had about 2,000 educational institutions. Today, we have crossed 25,000 plus educational institutions across the country. So that is really, so I think, the way we have kind of gone about thinking about, building this technology stack for the educational institutions has received with a lot of love from our potential users as well. I think that has also helped us to kind of, scale this very quickly over a very short span of time.
And the growth that Shiv, you just spoke about simply reflects the acceptance in the market about your products, right? So it directly signifies that people need these products, and if the products are simple, user friendly, affordable, then there is a huge market and potential for the products. Great. Just a reminder for all our audience, please be sure that you type your questions into the question box in your control panel. We have very less time left for the panel discussion, and I have a few more questions left, so we'll try to keep the answers really short. Sharma sir, I've heard you quoting in some other conference that because of COVID-19, India has fast forwarded itself to 10 years from now in terms of acceptance of technology. Will the acceptance be still there once the schools reopen fully, or was acceptance to technology just a sort of a short, quick term fix? Do you think we have adopted technology for good, or was it just a short term solution?
साक्षी जी, आपका क्वेश्चन बहुत अच्छा है कि मैंने कई कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में ये कहा कि टेक्नोलॉजी में हमने जो काम 5 साल में करना था, कोविड के दौरान हमने उसको 1 साल में अडॉप्ट किया। सबसे बड़ी बात है पहले अडॉप्शन। तो चाहे मजबूरी में थी, और कहते हैं कि आवश्यकता आविष्कार की जननी है, नेसेसिटी इज द मदर ऑफ इन्वेंशन। तो जो हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी थी वो नेसेसिटी बनी, तो उससे वो इन्वेंशन हुआ, लोगों ने उसको अडॉप्ट भी किया, बड़ा फास्टली अडॉप्ट किया। कि जो एक मिरेकल था कि हमारे आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी डिजिटल इंडिया की बात कही अपने के डिजिटल इंडिया, तो वो उसकी तरफ बहुत तेजी से हम अग्रसर हुए। लेकिन इसमें अभी बहुत सारे काम करने की जरूरत है। और आपने दूसरा कहा कि अगर कोविड के बाद कोविड नहीं रहता है तो क्या लोग इसको अडॉप्ट करेंगे? तो साक्षी जी देखिए, जब किसी ने मिनरल वाटर पीना शुरू कर दिया तो मिनरल वाटर गया नहीं। आज हमारी शादियों में एक कॉमन मैन की भी शादी में मिनरल वाटर, चाहे वो गिलास की शेप में आ गया, छोटे बॉटल की शेप में आ गया, सस्ते पानी के शेप में आ गया, जैसे मिस्टर शिव ने और रितेश जी ने कहा। तो उन्होंने कहा टेक्नोलॉजी को कहीं ना कहीं, टेक्नोलॉजी का मतलब क्या है कि आप सस्ते उसमें जो है लोगों को, आपको वो इन्वेंशंस करनी पड़ेंगी, क्योंकि लोग अब कहीं ना कहीं उसके थोड़ा अडॉप्ट करने के अभ्यस्त उसको मतलब के हो चुके हैं। लेकिन अगर उसका एक अच्छा मेथड निकलेगा, जैसे मैं अभी बैठा बैठा डिबेट पे सोच रहा था पैनल पे कि क्या और इसके रास्ते होने चाहिए, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी आई, लोगों की आईज प्रॉब्लम भी आई। छोटे छोटे बच्चों को, जब छोटे छोटे जो गरीब बच्चा है वो अपने छोटे मोबाइल पे जो है काम करता है, अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी के लोग इस पे भी काम करें, जैसे उसके बाद टैब है नेक्स्ट वर्जन, फिर लैपटॉप है, तो क्या सस्ते इस तरह के लैपटॉप्स आ सकते हैं जो कम कॉस्ट पे हो? देखिए, बहुत सारे लोगों ने पीछे कहा था कि 1 रुपए पे भी उन्होंने कहा था कि बाई एयर जर्नी हम कराएंगे। ऐसे ही रिलायंस ने जो है बहुत सस्ते जो है फोन लाकर हर एक के हाथ में फोन पकड़ा दिया। तो टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनीज को इस पर भी काम करने की जरूरत है कि लोग इसको और बेटर तरीके से अडॉप्ट करें, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी से बहुत सारी चीजें जो है वो लोगों को अच्छी मिलेंगी। और आने वाला समय जो है टेक्नोलॉजी का युग है, इससे बहुत ज्यादा और दूर नहीं रहा जा सकता। जबकि हमारी सर्वे में बच्चों ने ये कहा, 98.6% बच्चों ने, कि वो ऑफलाइन पढ़ना चाहते हैं। कारण क्या? कि जब किसी के पास वो फैसिलिटी नहीं होगी जो अमीर बच्चों के पास है, तो उनके पास कोई दूसरा रास्ता नहीं होगा। तो इस टेक्नोलॉजी में सिर्फ कंटेंट पे ही काम ना करके हमें इंस्ट्रूमेंट पे भी काम करना, कि एक बड़ा इंस्ट्रूमेंट भी तैयार करके बच्चों के हाथ में देना पड़ेगा। नंबर 2, हमें गवर्नमेंट के साथ भी काम करना पड़ेगा। बहुत सारे लोग गवर्नमेंट के साथ ज्यादा काम करते हैं। कारण क्या है? कि गवर्नमेंट से लमसम में पैसा मिल सकता है, अपने CSR को भी यूज करते हैं। तो हमें इस समय जो ये फाइनेंशियल, मैं कहता हूँ एक गैप जो है कि लोग टेक्नोलॉजी अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं लेकिन उनके पास फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम पेरेंट्स के पास है, तो उसका सोल्यूशन क्या हो सकता है? हमें पॉलिसी में चेंज के लिए गवर्नमेंट को सबमिशंस देनी पड़ेंगी कि अगर इंडिया को आगे लेके जाना है, इंडिया के 98% बच्चों को भी आगे लेके जाना है, वो आगे जाएंगे तो इंडिया बढ़ेगा। तो उनके पेरेंट्स फाइनेंशियली हैंडीकैप्ड ना हो, वो टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करें। आज टेक्नोलॉजी वो अडॉप्ट क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे? क्योंकि उनके पास फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स है। और फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स कौन दूर कर सकता है? गवर्नमेंट। गवर्नमेंट ये अनाउंस कर देती है कि गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स के बच्चों को टैब मिलेगा, लेकिन 50% से ज्यादा बच्चे अफोर्डेबल स्कूल्स में, बजट स्कूल्स में पढ़ रहे हैं, उनके पास टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे पहुंचेगी? ये गवर्नमेंट को, हमें सबको सबमिशन देनी पड़ेगी कि गवर्नमेंट जो है सभी बच्चे उनके लिए बराबर, अब कोविड के दौरान जो लॉस हुआ है सभी को बराबर समझना पड़ेगा, इक्वल समझना पड़ेगा। और जो निशा डीबीटी की बात कर रही है कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर, के बच्चे जो पेरेंट्स फाइनेंशियली हैंडीकैप्ड है, कैटेगरी ऑफ फाइनेंशियली हैंडीकैप्ड है, वो टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं। और टेक्नोलॉजी अब हर्डल नहीं होनी चाहिए। हमारे आज आप देखेंगे, आप पेरेंट्स भी हैं, हर एक कोई कहता है कि ट्यूशन फी, हमारे अभी भी रूल्स में ट्यूशन फी है, टेक्नोलॉजी फीस नहीं है। दुनिया कहां से कहां चली गई है, हम आज भी ट्यूशन फी पे ही अटके हुए हैं, पेरेंट्स भी। उनको ये कहना चाहिए कि मुझे अपने बच्चे के लिए टेक्नोलॉजी का पैसा देने को तैयार हूं, टेक्नोलॉजी फीस होनी चाहिए, और टेक्नोलॉजी फीस सारी गवर्नमेंट पे कर दे। ट्यूशन फी पेरेंट्स पे कर देंगे, टेक्नोलॉजी फी गवर्नमेंट पे कर दे, उनको कोई डीबीटी दे दे, ताकि ये डिजिटल जो बच्चों की बात की जा रही है उस पर कोई हर्डल ना रहे। ये पॉलिसीज पे चेंज करने की जरूरत है। जब ये चेंज होगी तो कोविड के बाद भी लोग टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करेंगे, जबकि ऑफलाइन का एक टोटल सब्स्टिट्यूट जो है वो टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं हो सकती। लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी के बगैर भी एजुकेशन को आगे बढ़ने का ख्वाब या विचार नहीं देखा जा सकता। साइमल्टेनियसली दोनों साथ चलेंगे, क्योंकि आप पेरेंट्स से, आप में से पेरेंट्स भी हैं। स्कूल्स के अंदर बच्चा डिसिप्लिन भी सीखता है, टीचर को सामने खड़े हुए महसूस भी करता है, पीयर लर्निंग भी करता है, और उसके बाद पंक्चुअलिटी भी सीखता है, ग्रुप डिस्कशंस भी सीखता है, बहुत सारी चीजें जो स्कूल्स में भी। लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी का भी इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता, लेकिन इसके हर्डल्स हमें सबको मिलकर खत्म करने होंगे। विदाउट टेक्नोलॉजी भी आगे बेटर एजुकेशन को नहीं बढ़ाया जा सकता। और ये टेक्नोलॉजी अब स्कूल के साथ चल पड़ी है, स्कूल्स ने अडॉप्ट करनी भी शुरू कर दी है। निशा ने भी टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनीज के साथ बात करके अपने स्कूलों को डिजिटल करने का प्रयास शुरू कर दिया। तो मैं आप सबका भी वेलकम करूंगा, जो और एडटेक कंपनीज भी हैं, कि मिलकर हमें आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा। गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज में भी सुधार के लिए सबमिशन देनी पड़ेंगी, ताकि कोविड के बाद भी टेक्नोलॉजी से भी बच्चे इक्विप।
Absolutely. For our audience, I'll quickly summarize that schools, students, parents have adopted technology. They have welcomed the technology now in their routine life, in their daily education that they're getting from the schools, but affordability still is a matter of concern. So be it government aid in the government schools, or through philanthropic money, or financial institutions who can finance digital devices for the students, so that this does not go uninterrupted because of lack of affordability for the parents. And there needs to be interventions from the other stakeholders who can step in and help improve the access to technology for the parents and students and schools. We had more questions, but now, since there are a lot of questions coming in from the audience, I would rather switch to the Q&A now. Ritesh, our first question is for you. How do you address the issue of high student to computer ratios in the government and low-cost schools when using individualized teaching at the right level approaches? And have there been any programs using multi-user technology systems, and are these similarly effective?
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for that question. To what I understand is there is always a resource constraint which exists in government schools or low-cost private schools in terms of number of devices. And the question which, from the attendee we're getting is, how do we address that, right? So just to give you a sense of how we do it at EI. So, one, low resource, I would interpret it as multiple things. One, what Dr. Sharma was sharing, what was ki internet nahi hai. So what we've innovated there is that our entire learning software is both available in a Raspberry Pi, which is like a 8,000 rupees device, which you can use it anywhere, even mobile. So अगर आपके classroom में नहीं है, तो आप उसको ले जाके कहीं पर भी setup करके 10 tablet से एक lab बना सकते हो. So one is from that perspective. Otherwise, generally we use like an offline server through which the experience of the child of the learning software is not interrupted. So that is seamless, and we're running this all the way in Darjeeling and Dantewada and all of these places. Now, second is we face the same problem. So this was the holy grail for us कि हर बच्चे को एक device एक बार में मिलना चाहिए. This was the holy grail for us, and we realized this is the challenge which government schools and low-cost private schools are facing. So what we created was we scientifically first tried to measure, can two children sit on one device, and can there be a mechanism on how do you get the two children of a similar learning level to sit together? So using our diagnostics, we were able to then create pairs of children who could sit together on one device. So initially we would need say 40 devices to address a 40 classroom size. Now we can actually do it with 20 devices itself. So this we then again saw that what is the marginal increase in learning outcomes or reduction in learning outcomes, and we found that actually the learning outcomes remain the same. In fact, what we saw was because you had two children of similar learning levels being placed together, it was not that कि एक बच्चा खाली आंसर कर रहा है दूसरा चलन. What we saw was they started collaborating with each other, and that was a very side effect which sort of took place because of that. So in our orientation sessions for the children, we then started adding a small module on collaboration. So, and the training on actually technology was one was to get mouse ye hai, keyboard ye hai, and then our last session was what is collaboration, and that really sort of amplified both engagement. So that's how we addressed it. In the COVID setting, it's again, because of devices being available, we are only able to reach to children at devices. I'm skeptical and not completely sure how does one device for all children, like the things of smart classes, etc. I'm not completely sure how effective it is, how much dependent it is on the quality of the teacher who's using it. That is something which I'm not sure at scale how does it work when all the teachers are of a certain level. So that's my answer. I don't know whether it answers that question or not, but
It does, absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Rather, it's very insightful to hear that technology is bringing children work together, students work together, and the collaborative approach is a news to me as well, because we've all been working from home and not used to working, sitting at a common place, working with our colleagues. So if technology can actually bring together the students in a collaborative approach, then nothing like it. Great. I would rather direct the next question to you, Shiv, that as a technology company working with LCPS, has it been difficult for you to attract the right funding? If yes, where do you see the gaps in investor awareness and understanding of this market?
Yeah, I think yes and no. I think definitely the concept of Bharat is becoming very popular among the startup community, the VCs. So I think the venture capital funds as well as the private equity funds, I think they are more familiar with the concept of Bharat, and I think a lot of it is also driven by the rising purchasing power and the per capita income in tier 2 and tier 3 markets. So the Bharat has more purchasing power today when India, if you will, right? So I think to some extent, I think that's been favorable for us. However, having said that, I think the cost of distribution is something that the investors and the VC funds have always been worried about, right? Like if you were to build a distribution network for Bharat, it's going to be a lot time consuming and expensive. Right. So that's the reason why we kind of, focused on very organic growth, and to some extent working in the education sector really helped us, because education is a very tight knit community. Right. So if you are if you're running a school, then you're friends with, 20, 30, I mean, Dr. Sharma can actually talk about it, right? There are multiple WhatsApp groups that they are part of, and there are multiple associations that are part of. And so the same is true for if you're running a degree college, right? If you're running a degree college in a particular town, then other, people, other, higher educational institution owners as well. And the same is true for coaching institutes, so on and so forth. So if something is working well for you, you tend to talk about it in your community. And what we do is very unique, right? We are offering great technology, which is very simple, easy to use, and very affordable. So it's they tend to talk about it a lot in their community. So that has really led us to kind of, attract a lot of organic traffic. Just to tell you anecdotally, we started with one school in Jammu and Kashmir 10 months back. Today, we have 200 schools using our product in Jammu and Kashmir. Everything is completely organic. Not even a single marketing dollar has been spent to acquire these educational institutions, right? So I think that has worked really well for us. And then our focus on like making the product user friendly, so that we don't really have to invest a lot in hand holding. Ritesh made a very important point, right? Like technology, if it is complex, it has to be like taught. I mean, any technology for that matter, it requires to be like imparted. But then like if doing this at large scale, doing this for Bharat, doing this for tier 2 tier 3 market is like becomes very, very prohibitive for us, very, very expensive for us. So we really had to like focus on like how can we make this technology go viral, how can we make this, build this product in such a way that the users kind of learn it themselves. We took a lot of inspiration from TikTok. As many of us would know here, that most of the content creators in TikTok come from tier 2 tier 3 markets. The kind of content that they create is all self taught, right? Like it's like very complex video content that they're able to create, but which is very, very complex but completely self-taught. So we kind of use those first principles, use those product principles to kind of build a product that can go viral without having to invest a lot in kind of telling them how to use this product. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's like the answer to your question, it is yes and no, but I think the mindset is definitely changing. Given that India, I mean, it's like also the urban markets are getting saturated, right? If you have to like you have to target the next billion users if you want to like really build a unicorn for the next decade. So I think that mindset is definitely changing, and that idea is being more accepted in the startup community.
Thank you, Shiv. Audience, we know that we are running slightly over time. Please stay with us. We have just a couple of more questions to be answered, and then we'll be closing. Stay with us. Shiv, next question is also for you. Please answer it in one line. What is the biggest mistake that you've seen schools make when they managing their investment decisions and managing their finances?
Great question, Sakshi. I think, I mean, again, Dr. Sharma and Ritesh should probably have more insights on this, but, in our assessment, we have seen that, about 10 to 15% of the fees gets uncollected every year in a low-cost private school, right? So it's like, because it's like, people, fees gets rolled over. I wouldn't say that it's completely written off, but it usually gets rolled over, right? Like, there's always some parents and students who are not able to pay, because you're talking about low middle class people who don't have the affordability to kind of, pay fees on time. A lot of them are, self-employed people whose income cycles are also a bit, not very smooth, right? So it's like a lot of 10 to 15% of the fees gets rolled over. So I think, to kind of, bridge that gap, a lot of the schools kind of go for borrowing, which I think could have been avoided if you put the right systems and process. I wouldn't say that the entire 10, 15% can be collected on time, but I think with proper systems, policy, processes, technology, and the right reminder, and if you also give them the option to kind of, pay it in smaller chunks, I think some percentage of that 10 to 15% can be recovered on time, right? And if you have to like, if you have to collect the fees in multiple chunks, I think you need a proper system of record. And that's what we help educational institutions do, right? Like we help them collect even weekly fees. And with this, with our system, you can actually do it. It will help you reconcile, it will help you keep track of who paid on a weekly basis, right? So we're talking about a lot of people who are like, auto drivers and like, working, housemaids and, daily wage laborers, so on and so forth. So we are really helping these educational institutions collect weekly fees using a technology system, so that you don't really write off or roll over 10 to 15% of your fees. And to bridge that gap, you have to go for external borrowing, and you pay high interest on that.
Thank you, Shiv. So before we wrap up, I would like to ask one question to all our three panelists. We'll hear Kulbhushan sir first. How would you summarize the future of low-cost private schools in India as it relates to your work? Where do you see, what is the future of low-cost private schools, Sharma ji?
अक्षय जी देखिए, सब हम पैनलिस्ट ने जो है अपनी लाइफ का एक पोर्शन जी चुके हैं, और आपने देखा होगा, चाहे आप किसी को भी देखें, आप होटल देखें, 5 स्टार, 3 स्टार, 1 स्टार, और उसके बाद ढाबा, और उसके बाद रेडी, स्ट्रीट फूड। तो ये एक हमारा सिस्टम है, ये सिस्टम हमेशा चलेगा। इसी प्रकार एलीट इंटरनेशनल स्कूल्स, एलीट स्कूल्स, हाई एंड स्कूल्स, बजट स्कूल्स, लो बजट स्कूल्स, तो ये स्कूल्स हमेशा सरवाइव करेंगे क्योंकि ये कम्युनिटी को सर्व कर रहे हैं। तो जब तक ये कम्युनिटी रहेगी, जिस दिन इंडिया पूरा यूके की तरह हो जाएगा, उस दिन हम कल्पना कर सकते हैं, या यूएस की तरह हो जाएगा कि उस दिन बजट स्कूल शायद ना रहे। तो ये एक अभी बहुत लंबा समय है, बहुत लंबी हमारी सोच है कि इस पे बहुत टाइम लगेगा। इसलिए अफोर्डेबल स्कूल्स का फ्यूचर बहुत है, बजट स्कूल्स का बहुत है, लेकिन हमें इसी के साथ पॉलिसीज में, जैसे अभी शिव ने कहा कि अभी 10 to 15% फीस जो है स्कूल्स की मैंडेट्स पे चली जाती है, और उसके लिए टेक्नोलॉजी उसमें एक अच्छा रोल अदा कर सकती है थोड़ा सा मैंडेट्स को कम करने में। लेकिन अगर पॉलिसी में ये चेंज करके राइट टू कलेक्ट फी आ जाए कि फी देना पेरेंट की ड्यूटी है और स्कूल के पास राइट है, और जैसे मैंने कहा स्पोर्ट्स फंड होते हैं, रेड क्रॉस फंड होते हैं, ये टेक्नोलॉजी फंड क्यों ना हो। अगर पॉलिसीज में ये चेंज कर दिया जाए तो स्कूल्स ने तो ये रहना ही रहना है, इनका फ्यूचर फॉर एवर। तो इस पे कोई दो राय नहीं है, फॉर एवर है, लेकिन बेटर तरीके से रहें और बेटर तरीके से बच्चों को टेक्नोलॉजी से क्वालिटी एजुकेशन दे, उसके लिए सोचने का और कुछ काम करने का समय।
Thank you so much. So in short, budget schools will sustain and they are on the progressive trajectory. Over to you, Shiv.
Sorry, what? I didn't get the question.
What is the future of LCPS in your line of work?
Oh, great. So I think, LCPS will definitely continue to stay. I think they are bridging a huge gap, right? So it's like, we work with a lot of, low cost private schools who are located in, locations where there are no government institutions, right? So I think they bridge a huge gap in terms of providing education. And then, they also do a good job in providing education to a lot of this, the families who come from the lower income households, the students who come from the lower income households. I think definitely, low cost private schools will continue to exist. I think technology is now become a very necessary part of what they do. Both in terms of we spoke a lot about using technology for teaching children and for learning outcomes of the children. I think technology is also very much important in running these educational institutions efficiently, right? I spoke about fee management, expense management, increasing their admissions, etc., etc. I think that's fundamentally important because these low-cost private schools are, they're very, very lean in terms of staffing, so they don't have people who can manage this stuff, and the profit margins also very, very low. When on top of it, there are also bad debts and fee write-offs and so on and so forth. So I think these educational institutions have to be run very, very efficiently if they have to self-fuel and sustain. So I think technology kind of plays a very important role not only in classrooms but also in the back office of these low-cost private schools.
Thank you, Shiv. Over to you, Ritesh.
Yeah, I think, one, I'm very, very optimistic on both the future of the low-cost private schools in India. One, because the demand for it is constantly going to grow. And I think the supply of it is also going to grow. What I'm hoping for, and, is far more A-grade plus, A plus kind of low-cost private schools coming up rather than a bad copy of a high-fee private school. And I think that would require both contextual solutions, like Shiv was saying, both from a governance perspective or pedagogical learning solutions, which I think the affordable private schools will need to do. So I would urge all the private school owners, the low-cost private school owners, to develop a model that works for them rather than to copy what is working for a high-fee private school. I think the challenge, the complexity, the students who are coming in, as well as the staff you have, is very different, and that would require innovation at what can work with you. I don't think what works for a high-fee school might necessarily also work for you. So don't go for the shiny things, go for what's really the fundamentals there.
Completely makes sense. Thank you so much, Ritesh. It looks like we have covered all our questions. After hearing all our panelists today, I think that it'll be fair to summarize that technology is transforming education in India. All the solutions that we have, edtechs, fintechs, they fit really well in this value chain as they can deliver critical outcomes at scale. because of their outreach, accessibility, and innovative business models. They just need to be simple, user-friendly, and affordable. And of course, all these companies who are bringing in the solutions for the affordable private schools to use them are also hand-holding, building capacities for the schools, for the teachers to use it in the long term. Technological innovations and machine learning have become order of the day, I would say. The sooner we adapt, the farther we'll go. Before we sign off, I would like to really thank all our panelists once again and the audience for joining us today. We've seen many repeat registrations also from the previous webinars as well. Thank you so much. We'll be relaunching our EdQ program next year. Stay tuned. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter for more updates. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, panelists, and we'll reconnect very soon with all of you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.